Hello out there, we're on the air, and welcome back to another exciting episode of The Story Behind the Stories. Well, okay, maybe another episode. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for joining us. My name's Eoin Devereux with the Neepawa Banner Press, joined this week once again by Kira Paterson. Good to have you in here, Kira.
Seems like a little deja vu, but yeah.
Yeah. All over again.
Yes,
yeah, really.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the news isn't a little deja vu.
No.
There's always something new and fresh and exciting and interesting going on in a town like Neepawa. You wouldn't think so, but it happens, and each and every week.
Things happen. What the heck?
I know. This is insanity. But the very first item on the front page, very pleased to be able to share some of the details with this. And Kira, you were there in person to be able to see this with your own eyes.
Yeah.
Acknowledgement and healing in Neepawa is the headline we went with for this. And it's in regard to the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation, which occurred all across Canada, including right here in Neepawa. And Kira, you were there to see it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't on the National Day of Truth and Reconciliation because it took place at the school, on the school grounds, NACI. And basically what happened was Arts Forward had organized an event and had wanted to get the students involved and wanted them to be able to witness this and see it. And it's so much easier to be able, for the community, for the kids to be able to go to a thing when they're already at school and it's taking place at the school. So they did this ceremony.
Because let's be honest, Kira, if you get a day off, if you're a kid and you get a day off,
you're not going to the school for something.
yeah, you're not getting out of bed if you don't have to.
But no, it was so good to see the students. They had two different sessions. So from what I understood, the middle school students were able to see one session and then the high school students were able to see the other one. It was basically the same thing, but obviously they just did it twice so that you didn't have to have quite as big a group out there. But it was really cool to see. It was traditional First Nations Indigenous dance demonstration. So there was 3 dancers and there was a drum circle, and they did 4 or 5 different demonstrations of different dances, which was really interesting to see. I stayed for, I think, all of the dances. I didn't stay for the whole entire presentation just because it was a Wednesday and that's kind of our busy day, so I was kind of in and out. But I think I saw all the dances and it was really cool to see. It was amazing. And it was cool because they got the students involved, they got them dancing along with it once. So it was really interesting, and the kids really seem to enjoy it and learn a lot from it. So it's great to see something like this take place in the community, and it's great to see Yvonne Sicily at Arts Forward taking the initiative to get something like that organized.
That's right. And if you didn't get an opportunity to see it with your own eyes, you will, I am sure, going to be able to get that opportunity. And ACTV was in attendance for both, and they've edited together a very well put together, formatted sort of composition of the day. And from what I heard, from what Yvonne told me, she's very thankful to NACTV for the work they did in terms of getting it together, getting it edited, and getting it distributed apparently to schools so that this can be used as a learning tool for those perhaps that weren't able to be there and see it with their own eyes and understand the significance behind these types of dances. I had an opportunity, I wrote the story, which you can see on page 2, with several of Kira's other pictures from the event. If you'd like to see that, you can find it on the pages of the paper. I had a chance to see it with my own eyes. I wasn't able to be there. Again, as Kira said, we were working on the paper as this was happening. So we sort of checked in on it, and it was very interesting. Some things I didn't know about, I learned about. So it was very valuable, and I'm very appreciative that Arts Forward, Rotary Club, Town of Neepawa, and ACI, they all came together in their own way and amalgamated together to put this on. So give kudos to Arts Forward, give kudos to NACTV for sort of their assistance on this and getting the message out there. Because it's quite a significant message, I believe. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, there's an entire day dedicated to it now, so it's very it's very important to get the message across. And on this very first National Day for Reconciliation that kind of sprung up out of nowhere about a month ahead of time, it was really cool that we could actually get something organized in the community to recognize it.
Well, it was very interesting. Darren Mousseau, the elder who was speaking to them during the event, they didn't want to focus on the tragedy of it. They wanted to focus on sharing their culture with those who were unfamiliar with their culture. It was a very positive, progressive sort of spin to sort of share in that way, and very appreciative. So I definitely hope that you'll take a few minutes just to sort of read the article, check out the pictures. And the pictures don't really do it justice, so you're going to have to check the schedule on page 3 for NAC TV, because it will be appearing, I am sure, in the schedule, and you'll have to see it with your own eyes. I think you'd be very surprised and very pleased with what you see. All right, let's head from one side of the paper all the way to the other end of the paper. Even though it's on page 19 of our 20-page paper this week, doesn't mean that it's not very significant for the town of Neepawa. And that's talking about the first look at the soon-to-be upgraded, the new and improved Neepawa swimming pool and Riverbend Park. If you've been reading the paper over the last few months, you will know that there's some very significant improvements that are going to be happening there. And if you checked out Facebook while it was still up, it was down there last week, the town of Neepawa put out a message about people, you can come on down and see some of the artist renderings of what it's going to look like. And that happened on Tuesday, between 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock Tuesday afternoon into the evening. And I went down there and I checked it out with my own eyes as well. Did an interview with Nicole Cooper, our rec services director there, and got the skinny, as it were, on what's going to be happening with that. And she was first off, very pleased with the response from the public. People coming in, curious about it, looking at it, asking questions, offering suggestions. Just because the artist rendering is done doesn't mean this is the final product. There is time to tweak just a little bit, change here and there. And that's what this consultation was about earlier this week. If you had an idea or suggestion or thoughts on it, that was your opportunity. So if you weren't there, you're kind of out of luck now. It's going to be, it's going to be what it is for the most part there. But I think you're going to be very happy with what you see from it. Because it was, Kira, you've seen some of the pictures, I'm sure. I was very pleasantly surprised by what I saw from it. What would your take?
It looks like it's going to be really cool. I mean, it's a big aerial view, so I am struggling a little bit to kind of visualize all of it, but it looks like it's going to be really cool. They've got the water slide there. They've got a brand new parking lot set up, which is exciting because right now it's just kind of a parking loop.
Yep.
And they've got some additions in the park itself. So it looks like it's going to be a big project, but it's going to be awesome when it's done. I'm really excited to see the results of it.
What's nice is everybody's going to get a little more space. The pool's going to be just a little bit bigger. The change rooms and areas and whatnot are going to be a little bit larger. Canteen, there's going to be canteen access as well. That's going to be great. And the parking lot, surprisingly, Nicole told me, Kira, that everybody was hyped up about the parking lot. And it was like, really? The parking lot?
Of all things to be excited about.
But then I'd never gotten around to counting the number of spaces in the existing parking lot. And you sort of said, well, it's almost double, actually.
It could be. I mean, my estimate could be way off. I don't know. But from what I kind of visualize when I go down there, I feel like maybe 20 cars could fit in the loop as it is right now. I could be way off, don't quote me on that, but that's kind of what I visualize. So this new parking space, what did you say it was going to have?
I think it was about 47 spaces that I saw in the artist rendering. And again, these are renderings, these are interpretations of what it will be. It could be a little tweak here and there, but in and around 50.
Yeah.
So
So it will be a big improvement.
Oh yeah. And that work will be getting underway before next year's swimming season starts. They're optimistic that a lot of the work for the pool will be able to be done before pool sessions start up full scale. They don't want to sort of close the pool for any scheduled amount of time. Well, I'll believe that when I see it. But I'm glad that they're optimistic about it, and I'm glad that that's what they're gearing the construction towards, because,
I mean, the pool is a big draw for the town, especially in the summer. The campground, there's a lot of people that'll go camping, and then they'll have their kids signed up for swimming lessons while they're camping there, so it's easy to just like walk across. So it is a big draw, I think, for the community to have kids from all over kind of the area in for swimming lessons and that kind of thing. So having it closed down would probably be a big hit.
That's right. All right, now we're going to be talking about this definitely over the months and maybe within the year. Hopefully it'll be done this time next year, because that would suck if it didn't. That really would. Much like some of the other stuff we're going to talk about, we're going to give you a tiny little taste, a little bite-sized bit of our most recent town council meeting. That happened on Tuesday. We record this on Thursday. These were several important things I thought everyone should be in the loop on pretty much immediately. And one of them is Davidson Street. If you've been out and about, you've most likely seen in the downtown a section of road cordoned off, closed off, close to the daycare, close to the library, right across from the bank there. They were putting in some new water and sewer, and they're still putting in some new water and sewer. And most likely, when it is done, and it will be done before the snow hits, but it won't be paved before the snow hits. Council was informed that due to scheduling with Maple Leaf Construction, Maple Leaf Paving was going to be doing several roads in Neepawa over the next little bit, just sort of upgrading them a bit, getting them ready for winter. But Davidson will not be on that list. So for the winter, it's going to be a little rougher. I believe access will be allowed in there, but it's going to be it's not going to be as smooth as it's been in previous years. And we're going to follow up on that story. We're going to try and get some extra details on that, just sort of timeline, scheduling. Like I said, this was just a little snippet, just to make sure we got it in there and we're able to share the details with you. We're going to broaden that for an upcoming edition of the paper there. And I think it's going to be interesting. I'm going to throw a little opinion out there right now, because why not? It is a bad look for the town. I'm not sure. And again, there's certain things the town has control over. There's certain things they don't have control over. But they always get the blame, no matter what, no matter which side of the coin that falls on. So there's probably going to be a few people that are very, very much bent out of shape about this, and they're going to take it out on the town on that. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, there's not much you can do about some things, and unfortunately when the scheduling just doesn't work out, and then you can't really be paving when there's snow on the ground, so it is a little bit of a longer wait than they had hoped, I guess. But I mean, yeah, you can't don't go call up the town and yell at them. We don't want to encourage that, because there's some things that they just don't have control over, and when things don't always go to schedule, that's not always somebody's fault.
Because you got to remember, this is something that maybe doesn't get talked about very much. Surprise, surprise, Neepawa is not a huge city. Huge cities have their own inner infrastructure that does these types of things. Winnipeg, Brandon even, for a large degree. But in Neepawa, you have to rely on other businesses to come in and do the work, like excavation at times, like water and sewer, like these types of things. You have to partner with businesses that you have no direct control over, them or their schedule. The same thing with Maple Leaf Paving. I would want them, I'd love it if all the streets that were supposed to be done over were done already. But we're at Maple Leaf Paving's disposal right now. We're at their schedule. So their schedule allowed that they're able to come in now and get it looked after. There's not much we can do about that unless we want to bring in our own crews, have them on full time, and then that's the money. That's the tax dollars talking. Where do you think those paychecks come from? So, but I don't know. Hopefully it'll get done. Hopefully it won't be too bad, because my bank's over there. and you know, I don't want I don't have to replace my shocks every time I go make a deposit. Although I make withdrawals a lot more often. But we'll see how that plays out. But one thing that the town does have control over is the fire department and the fire building and the vehicles. They've made a decision. One of their older vehicles just keeps breaking down, keeps having issues. Most recent repair is going to cost them in and around, I guess, $40,000, Kira, just for the repair. And they finally reached that point. It's like, you know what? Maybe we need to get a new one. And we all have to make that decision. I had a car, and just every couple months it seemed like I had to bring it in to get it fixed. And it was like, God, might as well get something new and fancy now. And I did, and I've had no issues with it for 8 years now, which means now that I'm done paying it all off, it'll start falling apart. And I'll have to get something new again.
That's how it goes. Always got to get you somehow.
Exactly. Fortunately, though, fire trucks are a lot more sturdy than that. They last a lot longer.
You would hope so, yeah.
And that's what they're doing. Instead of just fixing the vehicle again and again, they're going to buy a new vehicle. It's in and around $460,000, I believe, $490,000. Now that does sound like a lot, but you got to remember, actually, they've got an emergency reserve fund for fire department vehicles and all that, and they have the money in there, in fact. So they're just going to take from the reserve fund, from what the fund is actually is for, and put it towards this vehicle. And they're still going to have money in the reserve as well. Now, obviously not quite as much, but they'll still have money in the reserve for anything that's necessary. And quite honestly, sometimes you want the town to save its money, and sometimes you want the town to spend the money. And this is one of those cases, in my opinion, Kira, where, yeah, cut the check.
Yeah. Especially for emergency services like this, you don't want your house to be on fire and them to be all loaded up into their fire truck and then it break down on the way.
Yeah.
You want something that's reliable and that'll get you there fast and efficiently. So
it's like, well, why didn't you get here in an efficient manner? Because we're getting 3% yield dividends on our investment in the reserve fund. Yeah, but now I don't have a house.
Right.
Kudos to your 3%, but I need a tent now. Can I get some tent money from your reserve fund? No, I guess not.
No, that's not what it's there for.
Those were the two big ticket items from council. We'll be expanding on some of those details in future editions of the Neepawa Banner and Press. All right. Kira, you had an opportunity to speak to a new business in town.
I did.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about World Financial Group?
Sure. So actually, surprise, surprise, this isn't really a new business in town because, and I just found this out when I spoke to Sheila Regier. She is the one who opened the World Financial Group office in Neepawa. I was talking to her and she said that they've had clients in Neepawa through World Financial Group for about a year or more, actually since last March of 2020. So that's over a year. So they've been in the community, they've been doing work in the community, they just didn't have a location here. Sheila lives in McGregor. She also, I think, has an office in Brandon, and she had originally moved from Ontario, and she has an office back there too. So she has a few offices that she kind of oversees around the area, but she didn't have a location right in Neepawa, and she was saying that they've got a couple hundred clients here. It made sense to actually open a physical location for their clients to be able to come and ask them questions and get follow-up and get the guidance that they need, rather than just being sold some financial service or insurance or whatever the case may be. So I had a chance to talk to Sheila about the business. I have some information about what they do. She gave me a lot of information. She was great to talk to. She's really passionate about her job. I wasn't able to get all of the information that she gave into the story because, you know, space constraints and whatnot, but I would have loved to have basically quoted her word for word because she was just so passionate, so excited to be able to offer this financial services to people in the community. She is originally from the Philippines, so she has a connection to a lot of the newcomers. She wants to make sure that they're getting off on the right foot financially when they come to Canada, be able to save up money to be able to bring their families and all that kind of a thing. So if you are looking for some financial services or anything like that, there is a new option in town at World Financial Group. It's in the office located right beside, right between the Lee's Chinese restaurant and the Vivian. the Vivian Bar.
Yep.
So it's in that kind of office that's been vacant for quite a while.
And it was just renovated a couple years ago, so it's still relatively new.
Yeah, she said it was in really good shape when they got in there, but when they got the place, they actually ended up adding walls to make different offices. So it was one big open space when they first got in there, and they put in walls within like 3 weeks, because they got it about 3 weeks before they opened. And they were able to wall in some offices. It looks really nice in there. There's a bit of a sneak peek picture, kind of small, in there of what it looks like inside, but you can go and check it out for yourself as well, because it looks really nice and well done in there too.
Nice. You can check it out for yourself. Something else you can check out is something we haven't been able to check out during the COVID-19 pandemic. The Rotary Annual Book Sale. It had been postponed previously, but now it's coming back, and hopefully bigger and better than ever.
Yes, it's really exciting. I remember writing the story leading up to it last year, and then it ended up getting canceled, so my story was worth nothing.
We'll get to that. Teaser. Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, no, it was really good to hear that the Rotary Book Sale is coming back. Some of the restrictions have lightened up a little bit since last year when they were planning to do it. So Ron Nordstrom, one of the Rotarians, came in and gave us the good news, so I was able to kind of write up some information about that. They're not looking for book donations, because last year they were gearing up for it last year, and they got a lot of book donations, but they didn't get to sell them. So they have a lot of books. If you want to donate books, you still can. There's details in here on how you can do that, but they don't have the bins out and about like they have had in previous years.
Yeah. Well, no, that's great. I under normal circumstances, I'd let my mom know about that. She reads all the time.
Oh yeah.
But over the summer and over the pandemic, we got her one of those Kindle things, and now she's hooked on those. So, but not everybody has one of those.
No. And they've got great deals on some really good books. I remember going there in 2019 when they had it last time, and there's so much selection. There's lots of good stuff. It's not just junk that people are throwing out. It's good stuff, good books that people want to read. So definitely go and check it out if you're a reader.
The thing as well is there's just something different about having a physical representation of a book, a magazine, or a newspaper in your hand. You see how I did that there, Kara? You know.
Sneaky.
Exactly. It's just a little old school thing to be able to sort of see it, have it, flip the pages, and just sort of be a part of that. It's really good, and as Kira said, there's going to be a lot of selection there. Very much looking forward to seeing how that goes. With one thing on the go, unfortunately, it's a yin-yang thing. Another thing is not moving forward. And I sort of teased it there, Kira, because Casper had a great story written up about Jam Fest. It was an event being put on by Neepawa Tourism and Frozen Fire Studios, based in the Neepawa area. They were very much looking forward to putting on Jam Fest this Saturday. It was going to be sort of a how do I say this, sort of a dance, music, sort of combination celebration thing, just down at the flats, just open to everyone, an opportunity to listen to some great music, enjoy the day, enjoy the afternoon. But because of the COVID-19 restrictions and changes, which recently came up, those changes actually impacted outdoor activities as well. And even though our region is very much within the parameters of where we need to be for double vaccinated individuals, we got hit with it as well. It was a case of, we can do this event, but you can only have a maximum of 50 people in there at a time if it's just open. Or you can check people for vaccinations. Then you can have as many people in there as you want. Well, you just got to check the cards. And at the flats, that means we would have had to have put gates up everywhere. It would have been a lot more difficult to sort of keep organized and all that. And we talked about it. If you're unfamiliar, if you don't remember, if you don't care, I am the board chair currently for Neepawa Tourism. So we had this discussion, and it was a difficult discussion because we really wanted to do something like this. We really wanted to sort of bring some entertainment to the community, but to be able to do it in an inclusive way and to do it in a safe way, it just wasn't tenable. we just couldn't make it happen. Either it was going to be uninclusive or it wasn't going to be safe, and nobody was happy about either of those options. So we had to postpone. We're going to reschedule it. This is not a cancellation per se. This is a postponement. We will be doing something like this, whether it's part of next year's Makers Market, whether it's a standalone event. We will be bringing this to Neepawa. You have my word. Of course, that and $3 will get you a cup of coffee, but we'll see how it goes. Anything you want to add to this, Kira?
It's just a little disappointing that it wasn't able to happen, but totally understandable. The reasons behind it, obviously, it just makes it too much finagling and fiddling around to figure out a way to make it happen when it was supposed to be so soon, right? Like they changed the rules last Friday and it was supposed to happen this weekend. So one week of trying to completely change your plans is just not feasible. So it's totally understandable why it had to be canceled, but it's really too bad because it would have been cool to have something.
I just want to give a shout out as well to Jeff for Frozen Fire Studios. He's also a member of Neepawa Tourism. He came forward with the idea. Everybody was blown away by it. He has been the catalyst on this, the leader on this. Even though I'm the board chair, really, I'm the queen. I do the queen wave. I just hand out checks from time to time. It's individuals like Jeff and Kelsey and everyone else that do the real legwork. And I feel bad that Jeff wasn't able to be able to see his vision follow through, but it will follow through. And we will do this, and very much looking forward to seeing it play out in the future. Well, that's relatively about it, but that's not it in the paper. I mean, there's so many other stories we just didn't have time for this week, or we just didn't remember what the story was. Kaleidoscope concerts, they've got the green light. We talk a little bit about the provincial restrictions and what that means for you directly. As well, Ken Waddell has a book review on Gary Filmon's new biography. He found it very interesting, and he goes through all the interesting and pertinent points. He also did a story about Senator Mary McCallum, who was in Neepawa at the Rotary Club on Tuesday, talking about the Truth and Reconciliation Day and the significance of it. There were so many things, and sports as well. The Titans had a couple games. There's so many things we didn't have time for. That's why you need to pick up a hard copy of this week's Neepawa Banner Press to be able to see everything. There's just so much that happens in this community, and if you don't pick it up, then you just don't know. You're just out of the loop. And then what are you going to talk about around the coffee table, around the water cooler, around the whatever? Yeah. But that's it for us today. Kira, thank you very much for sitting in again.
Yep.
Always appreciate it.
Most likely see you next week.
Yep. Yep. And we will see you next week because we do appreciate you taking more than 2 minutes of your time each and every week to sit down with us and share with us some of the details of the stories behind the stories. And if you'd like to help shape the stories that we talk about and share with you, you can do so by calling us at 476-3401. You can email us at news@neepawabanner.com. Any sports-related things, sports@neepawabanner.com. I would love to be able to cover all the different sports out there, but we're small paper and it's not possible every single time. So it's appreciative if you've got pictures of events, if you've got pictures of games, even if it's just minor hockey, local volleyball, local basketball, any and all things. I'd love to just cover sports, but they keep making me do new stuff. But that is very important as well. And we appreciate your support in every way on this. 476-3401, the number you can reach us at. So once again, thank you very much. And we will speak to you next week right here on The Story Behind the Stories.